Hello, welcome to my channel, Learn English in Easy Way. To improve your English skills, reading, listening, understanding and speaking in accordance with your level, I combine short stories in one video. Improve your English with audio stories A1, A2. You will also have more videos on other levels and subjects later. Let's start. Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is a modern festival celebrated by African Americans. It comes from traditional African agricultural festivals. In fact, the name Kwanzaa comes from the Swahili word for first fruit. This modern festival started in California in the United States in the 1960s because some black people wanted to celebrate their original history and culture in their new country. Today, black people all over the country take part in this festival special event as they want their children to value their African American history. Kwanzaa is not a religious festival, but a festival that celebrates several important ideas or principles like unity, cooperation, and creativity. The festival lasts for 7 days starting on 26 December. People light candles, give gifts, and talk about one special principle each day. On each night there is a dance, and on the final night there is a big feast. That is, people have a large special meal all together. As Kwanzaa becomes popular, it is also becoming more commercialized. A lot of people are making money from this festival. There are now Kwanzaa cards, books on Kwanzaa, Kwanzaa poetry, and recipes. Parents are buying more expensive gifts for their children. Now there is also Nia Umoja, a kind old man rather like Father Christmas. It was first thought of by the organizers in the late 1980s to attract children to the festival. The festival may at first seem to be held just for fun, but actually the principle of cooperation helps the serious side of Kwanzaa because people collect food and clothes for the poor. Kwanzaa is an interesting balance of American, African, and modern American influences. Men in skirts. In Europe, men do not wear skirts, but the Scottish national costume for men is a kind of skirt. It is called a kilt. The Scottish are proud of their country and its history, and they feel that the kilt is part of their history. That is why a lot of men still wear kilts at traditional dances and on national holidays. They believe they are wearing the same clothes that Scottish men always wore in the past. In the early days, Scottish men wore a kind of long shirt that went below their knees. They wore long socks and a big wool blanket around their shoulders. These clothes were warm and comfortable for working outside on a farm, but they were not so good when they started working in factories in the 1730s. So a factory owner changed the blanket into a skirt, the kilt. That was the first kilt. In the late 1700s, Scottish soldiers in the British Army began to wear kilts. One reason for this was national feeling. The Scottish soldiers wanted to look different from the English soldiers. They fought hard and became famous and in the early 1800s. Men all around Scotland began to wear kilts. The first kilts had colorful stripes going up and down and across. In Scotland, this pattern is called a tartan. Later, the cloth with the pattern was also called tartan. The pattern of all the kilts was the same, but they had different colors, which were important to Scottish families. By the early 1800s, most Scottish families had special colors for their kilts, and the men always wore these colors on their kilts. Rituals of marriage in American culture. In the United States, before a young couple gets married, there are two social rituals which are usually performed before the day of the wedding. For a young woman, it is the bridal shower, and for her prospective husband, it is the stag party. The bridal shower is the more conservative of the two rituals, with the future bride as the center of attention. It is customarily organized by her sister or best friend and attended only by women, usually family and friends. It is usually organized as a surprise party, and the bride doesn't know its time and location until the very last minute. Everyone brings along a gift which will be useful in setting up a home. In recent years, however, it has become an acceptable custom to give a monetary gift sealed in an envelope. For the future husband, the stag party may contain more excitement and fewer gifts. This will be his last chance to have an all-night party in town with his close friends. Only men are invited to this party, and rightly so, since some of the pleasures of the evening may not be appropriate for a proper woman's tastes. In most cases, however, it may be nothing more than a night of bar hopping and talking about the good times shared with friends in the past. In addition to bridal showers and stag parties, there are other rituals and traditions concerning marriage in America. For example, the groom must never see his bride in her wedding dress before the ceremony. In some cases, they must not even speak or meet with one another the day before the wedding. Rice throwing at a wedding is also a popular tradition because rice is an ancient symbol of prosperity. Another reason may be the very ancient superstition that at the wedding there are evil spirits which are believed to be flying about the couple. Throwing rice at them could keep these evil spirits busily eating and away from the groom of whom they are jealous. Aborigines, the native Australians. The Australian Aborigines came to the Australia from Indonesia 50,000 years ago. Scientists think that at one time there was a land bridge between Australia and Asia. They believe that Aborigines traveled south over this bridge. Then there were changes in the earth and the land between Australia and Asia became islands. Australia is a difficult land to live in. It has no river systems and it doesn't rain very much. But the Aborigines learned to live in the desert. They hunted animals and insects for food. In the cold areas, they wore warm clothes made from kangaroo skins. They usually slept outside by a fire with their dogs nearby. Aborigines were nomads. They went from one place to another. They didn't think they owned the land, but they taught their children that they belonged to the land. The Aborigines didn't have a written language. Instead, they had an oral tradition. There were 600 groups and each spoke with own language. There were 300,000 Aborigines when white people arrived in Australia. The new Australians began to build and live on tribal lands. and the number of Aboriginal people fell greatly. Today, most Aborigines live in cities and towns or in isolated places. The Yanomami of the Amazon. The Yanomami people live in the Amazon forest between Venezuela and Brazil. They live in the tropical forest far away from other people. There are about 20,000 of them in 200 villages. Before scientists visited them, they didn't know anything about other people in South America, about the government or about modern life. They even didn't know whether they lived in Brazil or Venezuela. They lived in their own world. All of the Yanomami's materials and food came from the forest. There was really no need for clothes, so they only wore a few leaves for clothes. The Yanomami people of the Amazon have survived for thousands of years by hunting and fishing in the Amazon River. There wasn't enough area in the forest for farming, so they didn't grow any crops at all. They ate bananas and palm fruit and the animals they hunted. As they ate healthy food, they never got ill. They used stone axes and bamboo knives to hunt and catch fish with. In the late 1940s, scientists started to visit the Yanomami often. They wanted to study them for an unusual reason. The Yanomami are some of the most violent people on earth. They get angry quickly and stay angry for years. They frequently fight and kill each other, so there is always a war between villages. Scientists want to know why the Yanomami make war when other groups of people live together and do not make war. Today, the life of the Yanomami is changing very fast. They wear clothes now. They have learned to eat different kinds of food with salt and fat from visitors that come from the modern world. However, this food is bad for the Yanomami and makes them sick. Every time they get something new, they want more modern things. However, the modern things are killing the Yanomami. In the 1970s, gold was discovered in the area and many modern companies went there for gold. There were about 80,000 miners from big cities in the area by 1987. They worked under the ground to find gold. The miners brought many diseases like hepatitis and tuberculosis, which killed many of the Yanomami people. They also cut down trees in the forest for wood. In 1991, Brazil and Venezuela made the Yanomami land into a park so that no one could mine for gold or cut trees on this land and more. The Brazilian and Venezuelan governments have also attempted to save the Yanomami in other ways. If you enjoyed the video, please hit a like and subscribe to my channel.